And now it is my distinct honor to introduce a visionary leader who has been instrumental in steering this transformation. Since January 2018, Dr. Ricardo López has been at the helm of the Garland Independent School District, bringing a vision of access, equity, and opportunity for all. His commitment to student outcomes, special education, and closing the achievement gap is unparalleled. Recognized nationally for his innovative approach and leadership, Dr. López embodies GISD's mission. Beyond his accolades and achievements, Dr. López is a dedicated husband and a proud father of 4, with his daughters being a testament to the quality of education in Garland ISD, with them attending schools and graduating from our great district. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Ricardo López.
Thank you, Jason. You know, it felt different when he said, yeah, my daughters are a testament of this education system by graduating from it. One of my daughters, that you may not know, has special needs. She has Down syndrome. Another one has a lot of my attributes, a lot of hyperactivity and everything else. So pray for her. She's out in college. But regardless, I want you to look to the left and right. I want you to look behind you and all around you. I want you to understand that none of us got to this point to be at these tables by ourselves. We never rode alone. We had mentorship. We had teachers. No matter what system of education you graduated from, somebody forged exactly who you are to be at this place where you are today. Some of our roads went in circles, it felt like, and some of our roads that we feel like others, because we didn't walk in their shoes, was a straight line. But the truth of the matter is, the power of the education system is exactly what's here today. And so we're going to go over 3 great parts about our education system. The first part, we're going to go over the bond. That was a huge win, and we want to publicly say thank you for that. One of my inspirations for the bond was our very own mayor, Scott LeMay, and talking about the passion and persistence that he had when they had their bond. And he said something that stuck with us, and it was, why not us? And I was like, you're right. Why not us? Why can't we be like the other districts or even better? And so that was a lot of catalyst that stuck throughout the bond program, was sharing that vision, because it's about time us as a community say, why not us? The second part is I'm going to transition into the state of education. What's happening to the education environment with all this is a legislative year and how it's affecting us. And then finally I'm going to conclude with what a great district we are. Despite all these external barriers, we're still making great progress and leading the way in so many facets, and we're still not satisfied. So as we go through this, our theme is, experience the magic. And some will get around, they're like, did you bring all your props? Did you, this is what it is in Garland ISD. If we can give the magic and keep spreading the magic, imagine how the kids feel, because it's all about them. That's our future, not only of our community, but think of what the future is going to look like when then they become the leaders of the community and their vision. So with that, nothing happens by accident. And I want to give a testament to our board members. I'm going to give them a shout out. Our president, Linda Griffin, where does she go? She's right over here to the right. We have our vice president, Robert Selders, over here, Johnny Beach, Jamie Miller, Daphne Stanley, and Wes Johnson, is he here? And Mr. Larry Glick is right over here. So let's give them a round of applause. I call these our champions of education. Everything they do is because they want to. They don't get paid. This is a calling for them, and they give endless hours for our children. This is what the new admin team looks like. We have Dr. Susanna Russell, Chief of Leadership, Dr. Jason Adams, Chief of Academics. New to our family is Daryl Dodds out of Midland, Texas, right over here. Give him a round of applause. Welcome to the Garland family. and our very own attorney, Miss Lisa Ray. Where did Lisa go? There she is, right up front. So, if you were part of the bond package, could you please stand to be recognized? That means you were part of the community involvement and everything else. We got a few of you in here. Let's give them a round of applause. If you could see that we had a number of people actually develop the package, and we called it the ABCs of the bond because there were 3 referendums. And, you know, we went around and we did the ABC song for Michael Jackson, and it resonated, and people were like, oh, ABC. And you know what? That Why Not Us theme really broke a lot of barriers, because when we went in with our own preconceived mindset. It can't exceed a certain value. We can't have certain projects on the line. We can't do this, we can't do that. We put so many can'ts before we even started. It's the truth. And it was all right here. And then we gave it to these committee members. And you know what these committee members said? Oh, yes, we can. And yeah, you guys gotta figure it out. See, one of the things we said is we don't want it to break $1 billion, because $1 billion's like a lot. And they came up, and package 1 was $1.1 billion. They said we'll never pass indoor facilities. Well, that was package 2. And then package 3 was technology. And then all of a sudden, everything on the scope of the bond seemed like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the heaviest lift we ever felt. Okay? And so when we did that, we talked about the $1.1 billion mark. This is going to transform a lot of our areas, especially in Garland proper. Right over here up the street, you're going to get a brand new elementary school to tie into the town square. You know what? We want to be part of the rejuvenation that's happening in Garland. And you know what? Great new schools do that. We're going to have 4 new schools built in Garland proper. We're going to be fiscally responsible by consolidating 8 schools into 4 because we have undersized, underutilized, and aging campuses, and this is the best way to use money. And that's part of the $1.1 billion package. Another thing that's part of the $1.1 billion package is indoor facilities. So, yes, everybody's crying for them right now with this heat. Football, band, they're like, how fast? How come you haven't broken dirt yet? And well, we have to design. It takes some time. But you know what? You know how hard it was to sell this in April or March whenever the weather's perfect? And they're like, why wouldn't the kids want this? You know, because we forget what it's like in August. And that was also going to come up as part of the package. New playgrounds, security fencing. We're talking about infrastructure improvements by our technology, by building a new technology center and a bus depot. All of this came in the vision from the community. This was driven by the community. And we talked about the second one being $136 million for the indoor facility. And those indoor facilities, we're just approving the architects, and we're hoping to get started. Those are all phase 1 projects. And then finally, we talked about technology. That's just a brief bond recap. So if you look at it, the majority of our money is going into new facilities. So what we're saying is let's reinvest the money wisely. Some of our facilities are so old, it takes more money to fix them than to build a new one. And when you have the land and you have the vision and you have to do some things, why not do it the right way the first time so that we don't have to keep repairing these buildings? But look how much we're putting in safety and security, $91 million. And thank goodness for this bond, because you're going to see a House bill came up, and this is going to help offset a few of the costs that normally would have to come out of general fund. Technology is not going away, and we all know technology needs to be continually enhanced. And so the bond committee, just so you know, and I want you to spread the word, when the bond committee came out with these projects, they said this is not enough. We need 2 more bonds to 3 more bonds after this to get caught up. So there will be a bond cycle that comes out. And if somebody comes up to me and says, why are we doing technology again? Didn't we do it last time? Just remember your iPhone. Your iPhone is great this year, but let's talk about 5 years from now what that iPhone is like. All right? And we could talk about all these theories about why they die out and everything else, but the bottom line is you still need to get them. Right? So those are going to be reoccurring costs. People are going to say, wait a minute, I thought we already did air conditioning. Not for all the schools, only ones that needed them. We have 71 campuses. So these bond cycles are going to help get us up to par. And so does our timeline look like? Right now, we are interviewing architects for a number of different projects. The first project you will see breaking down, and the goal is by October, is going to be new softball and baseball fields at 3 of our campuses. So you're going to start seeing those get turfed out and getting ready for the upcoming season, and we have a goal of having them ready for the first district pitch in March, right? That's a tight timeline. So we're looking at a total, because it's three schools, softball and baseball, that's a total of 6 fields, and then the next phase with the 6 fields. You'll also start seeing designs happening for the indoor facilities and 2 new elementary schools. That's coming this year. So if we're able to break ground in March, and finish in March, but break ground in October, that means that within a few months, we're able to start the cycle of bond projects on major construction items. The prior bond, the committee told us that they were frustrated because it took 2 years to break ground. And we didn't want to wait 2 years to get that out. But because we were so excited about the bond committee's time that they gave us, what we did is we designed a plaque for the bond committee to go on all our major projects. So if you were part of the bond committee and you stood up, your name is going to be memorialized at the major projects that we have. That's the 4 elementary schools. That's the 7 multi-purpose facilities. That's the transportation facility, ag facility, and new technology center. You're going to be memorialized with your name on this plaque. And why am I sharing that? Because maybe next time you want to volunteer and be memorialized too, right? But there's nothing more special than somebody, maybe a relative, seeing your name up on that list and saying, wow, that's my uncle. That's my mom and dad. They gave their time to help design what's happening here. We need to keep our roots, y'all. And part of Garland's legacy was that community feel, and we feel this is just one way to say thank you and one way to center the community of Garland by always remembering the people that put time in. The one thing that this generation is losing is putting time in to community service. So there was a lot of great things going on, and we passed the bond in May, and we were excited. We're like, man, it's going to be a great year. And then the legislative session hit. Boom, House Bill 100. House Bill 100 was supposed to fund schools. It was supposed to give us more money to help give teacher pay raises. As a matter of fact, you might have heard, teachers were supposed to make $2,000 to $5,000 more this year, depending on where they were at. Then they were supposed to give more money for special ed. They were supposed to give more money for everything you could possibly imagine. And for our district, it wouldn't have been a huge amount of money, but man, it would have helped. On one condition. There was one simple condition to this. Vouchers had to pass. That became the decisive point and the tug-of-war of House Bill 100. And in that tug-of-war, nobody won. That House bill went away. That House bill is no longer in existence. And under this legislative session, up to this point, there has been no new money for education to deal with us paying teachers and dealing with the rising costs of everything, because this became a stalemate. People were not willing to negotiate vouchers for the amount of money they were giving to education. Okay? Now, there's special sessions coming on. And in the special sessions, they're talking about House Bill 100 again. They might revise it. They're just putting it all on the table. But the vouchers are not going away. So that's going to be contentious. So we don't know what's going to happen. There's no new money. There's no new money for education to help support us. And that's why you see districts, including ours, across the state running deficit budgets for the first time, because the money that we're getting cannot keep up with the inflation. Now, I want you to look at Senate Bill 2. Give Senate Bill 2 a big round of applause. You don't even know what you're clapping for, but I love that, though. Does anybody know why Senate Bill 2 is getting a big round of applause? Tax cuts. Tax cuts. So what Senate Bill did for all of the homeowners is basically give us some tax relief. And in that tax relief, you get, if you applied for your homestead, you're getting a $100,000 deduction right off the top. Then it also puts a cap on how much, which was already kind of there, but they put a cap on how much your appraisal value can go up from year to year. But the third one is that it's going to significantly drop the M&O rate. That's the school tax on your bill. Now, school taxes are the highest proportion of your bill. This is going to significantly drop it, okay? So in our case, it might drop it on the whole end, okay, maybe 18 cents, okay? If we drop it 18 cents, we don't know that for sure. Don't go out and quote me, and then next thing you know, and then we add the bond, you're still getting a huge drop. Because remember, the bond was a part of an increase. This is a decrease, and guess what? You're going to get a lower tax bill next year because of Senate Bill 2. So Senate Bill 2 did a lot for us as taxpayers. I'm grateful. Now, the good part, this is why it's a clapping, it didn't take money away from us. Even though we're decompressing the tax rate, it didn't take money away from schools. We're at what's called target revenue. So no matter what happens, I get the same amount of money I always get unless two things happen. I raise your taxes or my student enrollment goes up. Everything else is based on student enrollment. So if in 2018, remember the prices in 2018? 2019, 2020, same amount of money. Now we're in 2023 tax appraisal values, and guess what? It's not going to hurt us. So Senate Bill 2 was a win for the taxpayers, and it didn't hurt schools. So anybody that says Senate Bill 2 took money away from schools, you know the truth. It didn't do that. This was a benefit for the taxpayer. Now we need to talk about House Bill 3. House Bill 3 is our security bill. Now, a lot of you heard about House Bill 3 because you heard that there has to be armed officers at every campus. That is true. They gave us, you see right here, they gave us 28 cents a student to do this. You saw that right. So when they're like, we gave them the money, they gave us 28 cents. I want you to think about that. And we have 40 campuses we needed to fill. And not only did we have 40 campuses, they gave us an extra $15,000 to harden the campuses because they have new measures of hardening what it looks like with suggested fencing and everything else. And that's where the bond is coming in and really helping us. So a lot of that is taken care of. So it's going to help us offset a little bit. But what I want to say is this. House Bill 3, I need to reassure you, is this. We're doing it the Garland way. And when I say the Garland way, you're going to hear people that outsource security officers. We're not outsourcing security officers. We're hiring our own. Matter of fact, we're not just hiring our own because they have a state minimum for House Bill 3. Like you have to walk and breathe and be able to maybe shoot straight, and you get the gun and walk around. We said that's not going to be how we want to do things. Okay? Well, we said we're different tiered systems, and we're going for the highest tier. Highest tier would be a person that's either a current officer or a retired officer. And then a second tier would be somebody that's highly trained. But no matter what, they're all going through the same training once they're part of our system. Okay? We're not just using the Guardian plan and different plans that they have to have somebody to just check the box. So when you come to Garland, you're going to start seeing security officers, and you know they're going to have to go through a higher training than is what is required by the state. Now, I do predict the state to go ahead and adjust. I do predict the state to go ahead and start making certain requirements as we mature, because, you know, this is new. And they're going to come back and say, well, maybe we should make this adjustment. Maybe this is how we're going to do it. But Garland's leading the way so much that other school districts have called us for our plan, and all they're doing is cutting and pasting it and saying this is how we need to proceed. Because safety is the highest measure. And I know Mark Quinn isn't here, but safety and security is under Shelley Garrett. Let's give her a round of applause. Tremendous job. So if you know anybody that would fit this profile, please have them apply. We're starting at $30. The max is $44 an hour. They work 187 days. They have vacations off, nights off. They have weekends off, summers off, you know. And so think about it. If you're a retired officer, and you just come in and you get to work those days, those set days, it's not as taxing as the regular full-time job that they once had. Now, testing has also changed in the state of Texas. And the reason why it's changed is because every 5 years there's kind of a refresh formula that happens. But the testing system, guys, I'm going to tell you, we were just about to master it. You know, I had a number of trustees that were like, man, we're on the verge of an A. Imagine when we become an A district. And, you know, we're right. We figured it all out, and then boom, COVID hits, right? And then guess what? We did a whole audit. We got an independent audit to see where we're going. They're saying, man, you're on track. But then guess what? They redid testing. And people said, oh, it's like apples and oranges. I go, no, it's more like apples and grapes. And why did I use apples and grapes? Because usually apples and oranges, they're both they're a different type of fruit, but, you know, they're both round, they're both this. One has so many different parts to it, which is the grape. So many different fruits that are attached to the branch that's what the new testing system is like. It's that intricate now. And they changed so much about it that school districts of poverty like us, who are 75% economically disadvantaged, will suffer. And you'll see it across the state. Now, this will be a recalibration year, and I promise you that we will recover. But we're not going to be that A campus. We may not even be that B campus or district. But they're recalibrating so much that you're going to see B districts that are D's and F's. We will not be a D. Will not be an F. We're shooting for that B, but we're still getting all the data. But if we are that C, we will rebound next year. If we are that B, we'll be that higher B or A the following year. We're already working hard at it. But that recalibration is what got everybody upset. There's actually a lawsuit now from Kingsville on the Texas Education Agency for how they just rolled this whole thing out. So this isn't just me coming out saying, oh, we don't like the new system. A lot of people are feeling that it's purposefully dividing the haves and have-nots. Because the school districts that have affluence have shown increases. So how is that possible if it's rigorous for everybody? The affluent, rich school districts showed increases, but the poor districts showed decreases. Normally, when you put a new testing standard, everybody drops. So an affluent district would drop, but not as dramatically as a poor district. Okay? But now the total opposite has happened, and you see the gap just widen. So these are some of the things that are being pointed out, like, hey, hold on. Why is this discrepancy happening? So you need to know that these are the things that are happening on education. We're not getting the funding. They changed the testing. We're being publicly rated, and they want vouchers. So think of all the great things that are happening in this district, and yet we're being attacked like we're not doing enough. And I'm going to tell you that we are doing more than any education system has ever done. And when I say we, I'm talking about all the education entities that are public education in the state of Texas. We are doing a much better job than we ever have in the history of education. Yet, people seem to want to tear that apart. Think about all the early college programs, CTE programs. We have a 96% graduation rate. Think about all those things that are going on in our district, plus all the districts around us, and yet that's not enough. That's what we're going under. And so, what can you do? First of all, I want you to start getting the word out to treat our teachers like the clinical professionals that they are. Please. Too many times our teachers are under fire and being questioned for their expertise when they're the ones that have been highly trained day in and day out. This is what they do for a living. No other profession that goes under this much scrutiny when they have all these certifications, 4 years of college. They have to pass certification tests. They're the experts. But just because we went through schooling, we're calling into question their expertise. Sometimes we don't want to hear that honest truth that our child isn't doing what they should. But maybe if we knew more, we'd be better preparing them for adulthood. And our teachers need to be treated with respect. We need to empower the schools to be able to do their job. That's the first thing. So get the word out. When you know a teacher, treat them with respect. Make sure we understand that they're the clinical professional. They've invested in themselves. We're trusting them to get our kid where they need to be. This isn't about what we feel. This is about getting our child to the destination that we know they can achieve. Second, we want you to spread the word that public education is better than it ever has been in the history of public education. And I'm not saying this. This is documented. Now, I met one person, and I won't mention this person's name. He came up to me and says, I disagree with your statement because when I was a kid, there were no fights. When I was a kid, everybody graduated. I remember my whole class, and we stuck together, and he talked about the good old days. And I said, I'm not going to mention the year he graduated. And I said, you know what happened back in those days? That when you didn't fit high school, you were forced out. That's why they started monitoring graduation rates. So when you start looking at all those good old days, start thinking about the kids that fell out of the system that no longer were in the halls with you. Why weren't they in the halls with you? Because they were pushed out. And so all of a sudden, you just had a group of kids that were just school ready. So you were allowed to kick out kids back then. That's why you would have a 60, 70% graduation rate, not 96. And so the measures have been more rigorous. The demands have changed. When was algebra ever required to graduate? Or advanced sciences? When was taking a test and getting ready for college or having a certification right out of high school mandated? Those are all mandates now. So the rules have changed and we've measured up. Spread the word. Let people know. These are high-powered education systems like we've never seen before, and the smartest thing to do is to reinvest in them so they could get the job done, not take money away from them. Now, the third thing is call your legislatures. All of you know legislatures, and all of you have a different reputation and different communication and different type of relationship with them, okay? Talk to them. Let them know when this bill comes into special session, schools need to be invested in. Schools need to, it doesn't make sense to me when somebody says, hey, you know what, these schools aren't doing right. Let's take away money and resources from them and let's provide it somewhere else. And then we turn to the school system and say, well, why can't you make your mark? We just need to have a clear plan with the proper support mechanisms to get through it. Now, this is what we're facing and this is what's going on. But this is the school system that I'm proud of. You see, we have teacher raises. We've been leading the teacher raise category for the past 3 years now, I think it is. And we were the first ones to 60, and then this was the first time we decompressed our veteran teachers, so our veteran teachers got the biggest raise. There's a lot of great things that were going on in Garland that people were emulating. I remember when we did 60,000, and people were like, why did you do that? And I go, well, because our teachers deserved it, right? And then next thing you know, everybody around us that already approved their pay scale changed it to 60,000, all right? Our vacancy rate is the lowest it's ever been since pre-COVID. I think we have a total of 36 teachers we need. 36 teachers in 70 schools. Think about that. That's amazing. And then finally, CCMR, which is that college career military readiness, we once again lead the entire DFW in that category. Our kids leave at the highest rate of CCMR certified, completed, and ready to go out of almost every school district in North Texas, outside of, I think, Highland Park. I think Highland Park's number 1, but we're number 2. In all the big districts, no one even comes close to us. That is what Garland is. But it doesn't stop there. We won 23 bond. We talked about that. That was a big win for us. We also have the 96% graduation rate. And then finally, our teachers of the year are phenomenal, and John Murray out of Saxe High School won the entire region of the year, and he's going for the state title. Right out of our Garland. Let's give him a round of applause. But it doesn't stop there. Our transportation was now rated one of the top transportation units in the nation by Transpar. Our Garland has been named one of 5 outstanding large school districts in the HEB Awards. Saxe High School soccer team was a semifinalist. Garland High School step team won nationals. We have multiple awards for finance stewardship. No pressure, Mr. Dodds. We got to keep that going, all right? And guidance and counseling got the National Power of Hope Award. This is your school system winning national awards, state finalists. This is your school system. Get the word out. Talk to them about the magic. You see, the power of our school district isn't just the synergy of the school system. It's the entire community. You see, when we went out for bond, and this is how we're going to come full circle. When we went out for bond and we had all those they call them ants. Ants go in your head, these doubts, these things that go in your head. And we're going into election day. And we were like, okay, we feel okay about measure 1, but that might be close. We're not sure about measure 2. And it depends who we talk about measure 3 with technology. We didn't have sure footing. And then the results came in, and it was almost 66% across the board for these measures to pass. The community spoke. We wanted this. And you know, we have to remember that's the power of Garland ISD, and it always has been, is the community. The community will rally for the schools when the school needs them the most. And the school district does need you to rally. Now we need your voice to be heard. When you're out at dinner this weekend for Labor Day, after you go to the parade, you talk to other people from other districts, and you tell them how robust your school system is. Let them defend yours. Don't diminish theirs, right? We go, man, this isn't the Garland ISD that you think it is. Let me tell you, you have talking points. Share with people. Build a sense of pride and synergy. You know, don't get drawn into the negativity, because guess what? When you bring the magic and you bring the light, these words are very purposeful, because it will bring back what Garland has always been. And it's been a destination place for so many families. And the proof is they don't move. They live here because they love the people they're surrounded by. And we need to hold true to that. So when we talk about the experience of magic in Garland, we're going to go ahead and talk a little, or show you a little blurb of our experiencing the magic.
Come on, hop in. We're going to take a trip down GISD lane. We got a lot to see. Let's roll. It's all about family here. We aren't just neighbors, we're a community. A community isn't about place. A community is about a group of people, one heart, one purpose, one goal. From one generation to the next, we can't stop, won't stop. From north to south, the lake to the forest, where the Mustangs run and eagles fly, and the OG. We have a rich tradition, but we aren't living in the past. Great job, charge on. So you ask how we do it. Every great recipe has a secret magic ingredient. The secret is out. The magic is youth. Igniting the spark and fanning the flames. Leading the way. Preparing the places. Keeping us safe. You know we're always connected. Need a ride? We got you covered. And you know no one goes hungry. It's vibrant. It's taking over the world. It's GISD magic, and we're just getting started.
So with that, we talk about experiencing the magic, and I'm going to conclude with this. Our district is on fire, and in a good way. All of these things that are pushing for us, we call it wind, and we're leaning into the wind. And we want you to lean in with us. So when you see things come out about school systems and everything else, know it's hitting us statewide. The new testing is going to hit us hard. Know whenever they go into special session and they talk about school funding, you're going to hear a lot of great buzzwords. Teacher raises, teacher raises, teacher raises, vouchers. You're going to hear those competing things. Funding for special ed, vouchers. And that's where the tug of war is going to start. You're going to start seeing how people are reacting to certain elements. And regardless about what you think about voucher systems or not, my job is not right now to convince you whether it's beneficial or not. My job is to show you that if you don't properly invest in the foundation, which is our public school system, over time, you're going to see a lot of things erode, and things are just going to get worse and worse and worse, because without the proper resources, there's no way this organization can thrive. So as superintendent, I'm going to keep working with legislatures to ensure that our teachers are paid, that our schools are adequately financed, and that we measure up to any type of accountability system they give us. Yeah, they shifted us. And the reason why you see a drop in scores, by the way, is because they changed the rules while we were swimming midstream, literally in January. Okay? So I want you to understand that we're going to go ahead and measure up. I don't want you to have any doubts about what comes out from the accountability system. But what I do need for you is when you're with somebody, advocate for schools, advocate for teachers, and advocate for resources. So with that, I'm your proud superintendent, Dr. Rick López, and we're going to continue charging on. Thank you.